Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you're tuning in from and wherever and whenever you're tuning in from. This is Rod with Power Group. Welcome back on the Pursuit of Wealth. It is Thursday, June 30th. It's the last day of the month. Hope you're well today. Going to get started with today's live stream in about 30 seconds. Going to go over some levels to be watching in the MJ space. We'll do a quick market update on the MJ sector. Going to be discussing bear flags that are on watch pretty much everywhere and the potential of another leg down in MJ. So before we get to it, make sure to smash the like, help support me in the channel. It doesn't cost you anything. You can subscribe, take the bell, you'll be notified on any future videos. Make sure to let us know where you're tuning in from and let us know in the live chat. Going to get started here in about 10 seconds with today's live stream. All right, I see we have quite a few people joining us. Welcome back on the Pursuit of Wealth, everybody. It's Rod with Power Group. Today is Thursday, June 30th. Hope you're well today. And in today's video, like I said, going to be discussing some weekly bear flags that are across the sector at the moment, insinuating that we could see more downside. We know that the S&P 500 has been weak and the economic data has been weak as well, likely implying more downside. And we still yet to change the daily trend on the S&P 500. So a little bit of cause for some concern there. And again, we have weekly bear flags all across the sector. Canopy drug the sector down quite a bit today. I mentioned yesterday that when the news broke that I would expect about a 10 to 15% downside, maybe even closer to 20%, and that's exactly what we got. So before we jump into it, make sure to smash the like, help support me in the channel. It doesn't cost you anything, and let us know where you're tuning in from. It's been a rough couple of months and years, really going on the better part of 2 years since we've really seen any positive momentum in the MJ space. So I wanted to come on and just prepare everybody that I'm looking at the charts and it's not looking that great. We could see more downside. So I want to go over a few things here today. We'll go over some rapid fire news and then we'll look at some charts and what I'm looking at, some price levels and patterns to be watching. And we'll save the technical analysis for the end and we'll do a quick Q&A at the end as well. I did post a video on Oxley 3 days ago saying weekly bear flag. My target was 8 cents. We actually hit 7 cents. And that target has been met. So like I said, we had weekly bear flags across the sector, both American and Canadian. And now's the time where champions are made, right? Everybody's a genius in a bull market. Everybody thinks they know their MJ stock they're investing in is, the best of the best. And, you get people saying LPs are garbage and you get the MSO maximalists. But now is when people are humbled, right? When the whole sector is down, even strong performance, strong fundamental companies like High Tide or TrueLeave down 80, 90%, right? Since February 2021 in about a year and a half. So now is the time where people get humbled and realize that, not everybody's a genius. Everybody's a genius in a bull market when price is going up. But now is the time where, where you can stand out from the pack and where champions are made. And life-changing opportunity is right in front of us with these prices. Could we go down even more from here? Absolutely. That's the point of this video, saying that we could see another potential leg down. But I see we have quite a few people joining us, so welcome to the stream. It's technically a Friday here today in Canada since it's Canada Day tomorrow. And to my fellow Canadians, happy Canada Day tomorrow. With that being said, it is the last day of the month, so we'll look at some candle closes on the monthly as well. They're pretty bearish, but also a reminder that the stock market in Canada is closed tomorrow and will reopen on Monday, but it is closed on Monday in the US as well. So I'm not expecting a whole lot to happen until maybe Tuesday, Wednesday next week. But we could see more downside. I also put a video out about Canopy growth. There was an article basically highlighting some bankruptcy risks. I went through my thoughts and opinions on that. I think it's just FUD. I really don't think Canopy growth is going bankrupt, but then they just had some news that came out today, and this was from 2 days ago. And I said that we had a weekly bear flag on watch and the target was 233, and CGC actually hit like 270 today USD. So coming close to my weekly bear flag target. You were given multiple heads up that we could see more downside in the technical analysis. As the saying goes, show me the chart and I'll tell you the news. I showed you the chart, I told you the price action, then we got the news, right? So technical analysis doesn't always work, but it works more often than not, right? The whole idea of technical analysis, some people say it's silly, some people say it's all hocus pocus, doesn't mean anything. It's not a blueprint. It's not to follow 100%, right? All it is probabilities. And when you see a pattern or something developing, you can be prepared for more downside, right? That's all technical analysis is. It's looking at the most likely scenario, right? And then I did a video on Hexo as well, Also been looking into a new condo. I purchased a condo in Edmonton about 6 months ago. I'm looking into another one as well to potentially have as a rental property, and may even do an Airbnb. So that's been taking up a little bit of my time lately and may continue to do so, but I'll try to get videos out every other day, if not every day, every other day. But jumping into some rapid fire news here. So bipartisan lawmakers file MJ banking amendment to must pass defense bill in last reform push. So this was published about 3-4 hours ago. This is bullish. Just get it done already. I'm tired of talking about it. We need the Democrats and the Republicans. I don't care who it is. I'm not going to get political. I'm from Canada, so I could care less. But somebody needs to do something. This is just absolutely insane. We've been almost 4 years of full legalization here in Canada. We know that multiple other countries are doing so as well, and Germany set to come full-blown legalization into the end of the year, into the fall. And then also New York rec sales are about to start here into the fall as well. I saw something about the first crop of legal MJ in New York being harvested. So the time is near and likely not too far away in the distant future. So MJ producer Cannabis swapped shares for $250 million of its debt. So essentially what this was, I had a bunch of questions. I didn't do a video because it was late, and I pretty much already did a video on Cannabis saying that we could expect more downside of $2.33 USD, and then we got the news, right? So as the saying goes, show me the chart, I'll tell you the news. And then today, the reason why a lot of people were wondering why it's only like 6% dilution or something like that. I didn't actually run the numbers, but I don't know if it says it in here. Let me just see. I'll bring it up real quick. Shouldn't take me that long. MJ, just go into the Pow Group private community, and I'll bring this up here for you. So whoops, no, that's not the one. Hang on a second here. There it is. So if you go down to the actual so essentially what they're doing is they're issuing shares to pay off their debt, right? So they do have like $1.3 billion in cash. They could have paid for it, but obviously this is going to help Constellation Brands as well and the note holders, and they're going to be able to get shares for cheap, right? And the reason why it was dropping so much today and why I expected 15 to 20% of downside is because if you go down here to the transaction details, it was done in 2 tranches, but let's just do a quick find here, and I'll bring it up. So here it is, floor price of $250 USD, right? And a maximum price equal to $350, all depending on the VWAP, the volume weighted average price, those transaction details. So everybody was wondering, why are we dropping so low? The reason why we're dropping so low is because the price was at $350 yesterday when this news broke, and it could go all the way down to a floor price of $250. So again, I had the weekly bear flag that I mentioned in this video 2 days ago, and I said I was targeting 233. We came pretty close to it today. We hit 272. We're only, from that floor price of 250, we're only about 7% away. So why was I expecting 15% of downside or so? I even said maybe even 20%. The reason why is because we closed at 350 yesterday, and down to 250 would be about a 27% drop. And I didn't think we were going to do that all in one day. And then sure enough, here we are down 18% on the day, right? So pretty much exactly what I forecasted came true. But again, watching this weekly bear flag, did it mean that the weekly bear flag was going to confirm 100%? Absolutely not. But that's all technical analysis is expecting. So if you were looking to add positions in the last couple of days, and you knew anything about technical analysis, or maybe you don't, and you're just part of the Pow Group community and you're following my charting, don't take everything that I say. I'm not telling you to buy, sell, or hold. This is for entertainment purposes only. Not financial advice, but you could have said, okay, well, instead of buying in the last day or two on Canopy, maybe this weekly bear flag will confirm, and then I can load, 20, 30% cheaper. That's all technical analysis is. Doesn't mean it's going to drop 100%, and it doesn't matter that, it doesn't matter really which direction it goes as long as you have a plan for both, right? And it can help you plan entries or plan exits or just overall develop a plan. And most people don't have a plan, and that's part of the problem, right? People just buy and don't have a plan, don't have a stop loss, don't have a dollar cost averaging approach or anything like that, right? So that's why Canopy growth was down. And obviously issuing a ton of shares and dilution, probably could have done so in cash, but again, we got to get Constellation. I think they're up to like 50% ownership now in Canopy, so pretty much taking a foothold on the corporation. Also, Canopy Growth celebrates summer with its new Just Hits Different beverage campaign. So not all doom and gloom. They are coming out with some new initiatives and some new campaigns. But again, we were given multiple days of heads up that we could potentially see a weekly bear flag. What is a weekly bear flag? A weekly bear flag is when we have a little bit of a bounce on the weekly. What does a bounce mean on the weekly? Just means that we're breaking the high of the previous weekly candle. So here you can see that we were downtrending. We had a lower high every candle for essentially about 5 candles in a row on the weekly. Today was the monthly candle close on a lot of our MJ names as well, and we closed near the end of the candle here. So the low, pretty much at the low, not looking good. We could see more downside. We're not oversold here on the monthly RSI. We could be heading down to that 233 target on the weekly bear flag. So what is a weekly bear flag? All it means is we had a lower high every single candle, meaning we're consolidating. Consolidation just means, and pulling back on the weekly just means we're losing the low of the previous weekly candle. So once we broke the high of that weekly candle, we broke that pattern of a lower high every candle and weekly consolidation. As soon as we broke this high here at 358 on the week of June 21st, we started the weekly bounce. But what happens when we start the weekly bounce and we've got a ton of room to form a lower high? Anything below the 0.32 Fibonacci level, and Fibonacci is found in art, it's found in music, found in math. So for those that think it's just technical analysis, that's incorrect. It's pretty much found in all walks of life. So again, when you're looking at the bounce, it's a weak bounce, then you're probably going to just expect more downside, right? Because that's what's called a weekly bear flag. Or you can do the same thing as a bull flag, but essentially it just resembles a flag, right? You got the pole, a flag, and then you get the measured move from the flagpole down. So you just take the measured move of the high to low, you drag that out. You drag that out to the 0.32 fib like I just did, and that gives you your target. So that's how you do a weekly bear flag. And I also have a free course that you can check out as well at powgroup.ca or pursuitofwealthgroup.com. You can sign up for the free course there at the Academy, and I go over some technical analysis basics. But essentially, we were expecting this, right? And anything under $4.38 USD was a potential weekly bear flag. Now, what happens if we would have broke that 0.382 fib? Then that would have decreased the odds of a weekly bear flag. Then we would have likely expected some type of equilibrium where we form a tightening range. Let's look at the S&P 500 real quick. It was the opposite. SPY was looking at a potential daily bull flag, and just to give you an idea of how to draw this out, SPY was looking for a daily bull flag, and you just draw that out. I already drew it, but you can see here lots going on. But essentially, anything over that 0.32 at 381 was a potential daily bull flag, and it's just the opposite. We were targeting 416 if confirmed, but we dropped below the 0.32 at 381, therefore decreased the odds of a bull flag, right? And that's exactly what happened. Is we saw more downside, and now we could potentially see a type of equilibrium in a tightening range. Or we haven't changed the daily trend yet, we could just break to a new lower low, in which case would be even worse for MJ, right? And that could be what pushes us even lower, is the fact that we had bad news from CGC today, and the fact that the broader market hasn't confirmed a daily uptrend and could potentially see another leg lower as well. So again, weekly bear flag confirmed, and still expecting more downside. We had the weekly bear flag on Oxley as well that confirmed. So again, one weekly bear flag on one stock in MJ is not the end of the world, but when 8 of them have it, right, and they're all the leaders and tier ones, both MJ in the US and Canadian companies, well, then it has more confluence, just means more weight behind it, right? We can expect it to come true more and have more probability and a higher chance of playing out. So we take a look at Trulieve. Trulieve is a weekly bear flag. Anything under the 0.32 fib at $21 is a weekly bear flag. I've been calling this out for weeks now, that I'm expecting more downside on Trulieve. People saying, oh, why are you selling those LPs to buy Trulieve? Well, I'm expecting more downside. And actually, Hexo, someone chirped me for buying Hexo and not buying Trulieve, and I'm like, well, Hexo kind of seems like it's, it's pulled back like 95, 98%. How much more is it really going to go down from here? If we take a look at Trulieve from the low at March 2020 lows, right, at the C19, we're still up from those lows almost 100%, like 85%. So we could go down a lot more from here. And, I'm not chasing, right? One thing I've learned through crypto and MJ is not to chase. And when we have weekly bear flags across the sector, we even have one on Hexo as well, but Tilray, High Tide's got a weekly bear flag. So if we take a look at the measured move here from Trulieve, we're looking at about a $13 price target. And after $13, we really don't have anything until about $12, and then after that, $8. So it could get pretty ugly here. And like I said, US MJ is a bit weaker than Canadian MJ. Why? And it's because we're just catching up to the rest of the sector. Trulieve still only down about 79% from February 2021 highs, while a lot of our MJ in Canada is down 90% plus, right? So it's just catching up to the rest of the sector, which is why I think that we could see more downside. Moving on to the Tilray chart, weekly bear flag. Anything under the 0.32 is a potential weekly bear flag. So if we get over $3.84 USD on Tilray, that's going to negate the odds of a weekly bear flag. But again, what do we know? There's bear flags across the sector everywhere. So one would think that we could potentially see that on Tilray as well. The measured move on Tilray would be down at about $2.25, which implies about another 25% or so of downside from here. So again, why am I telling you this? To spread fear and to, you know, be the bearer of bad news? Absolutely not. I'm just telling you, if you're looking at adding to your positions, maybe don't go all in right now on your purchase. Maybe you can stagger it. Maybe you can start to dollar cost average in, or maybe you wait until we get closer to that 250, 225 area on Tilray, right? This is just ways you can help better prepare your portfolio and entries and exits and things like that, right? That's all technical analysis can do. And it's not always accurate, right? And there's times where it's more reliable than others. And right now, you know, I'm just telling you what I'm seeing. And then if we take a look at Hexo, Hexo is a potential weekly bear flag as well. Anything under, we started the weekly bounce, wasn't a very big one at that though. So again, this is why I'm a little bit more bullish on MJ in Canada, is because we've been beaten down so much and it's uplisted on US major exchanges, right? So we do know that safe banking could potentially see some traction, but what do we know about US MJ? Big money can't play in it until it uplists, right? So that's why we see LPs on the NASDAQ and the NYSE shoot up like 40, 50, 60% in a week, is because it has access to institutional capital and smart money, right? Big hedge funds and institutional investors. So anything under on Hexo USD, anything under 43 was a potential weekly bear flag. We are targeting about 14 cents here on Hexo, which would imply about another, on average, it's about 25% of downside. Trulieve, if we look at the current levels to about $13, you're looking at about 16%, 16% of downside. High Tide, another weekly bear flag on watch. So again, you just take the high to the low with the Fibonacci tool, right? Grab the Fib tool, high to the low, and then anything under the 0.32 Fib at $3.02 is a potential weekly bear flag. How do we know it's a bear flag? Because we started the weekly bounce. We're breaking the high of the previous weekly candle, but we're topping out. We're not seeing much of a bounce. That just shows bull exhaustion and that bears are still in full control. Bears just mean people who think the market's going to go down. Bulls are people who think the market are going to go up. So we take the measured move. We're targeting about $1 on High Tide. What do we know about High Tide? They have amazing fundamentals. They have amazing numbers, but doesn't matter. Fundamentals do not matter in a bear market, especially in a nascent and up-and-coming burgeoning industry. It all follows each other, right? When we're in a bear market, all American and Canadian, there can be outliers. There can be the odd one that shoots up, but is it going to sustain? Probably not, right? That's why you get all these MSO maximalists and fundamentalists who just don't understand. They're like, I don't understand. I'm looking at the numbers and they're fantastic. 12 consecutive quarters of positive adjusted EBIT and blah, blah, blah. And they're racking their brain and it's like, it's simple. Bear market. Everything's in a bear market. How do people not understand this, right? So you can't, if you're doing value investing, that's different, right? You don't care what the share price is. You're just looking at what the share price could be. And as long as there's continued growth in that stock, in the fundamentals and in the numbers, you don't really care what the share price is. You'll just hold, right? But I think a lot of people have a trading mentality versus an investment mentality. People think they're investing, but then they go and they deviate from their plan when something that they don't like happens. You know, that's not investing. Investing is you park money, you do your research, you do hundreds of hours of research, if not thousands, and then you place X amount of dollars, you have the most amount they can lose, you put it in, you dollar cost average, you develop a strategy, but you're not selling, usually when you're investing, right? Investing, just like Mark Cuban, if he invests $100,000, he's prepared to lose it all. But guess what? He doesn't sell if the CFO gets fired, or if the SEC sues them, or if they have a lawsuit from a trademark infringement or something like that. You know what I mean? But retail investors would be like, oh my God, right? Like panic sell, right? That's the whole thing in a nutshell, is they panic sell because they're not actually investing. They're trading and they're selling because of emotions or something that happened that they did not like, right? But personally, I know what I own. MJ isn't going anywhere. Can we see more downside from here? Absolutely. That'd be about a 50% drop here on High Tide. And again, fantastic fundamentals, right? But as we know, fundamentals do not matter in a bear market. See if there's anything else I wanted to bring up. So again, we do have the monthly candle closing near the low here on high tide. It is a monthly inside bar, so a tightening range. We can expect another monthly inside bar, well, tomorrow. Yeah, this is on the NASDAQ, so this will trade tomorrow. But we'll see a potential monthly inside bar tomorrow, and we'll be watching for support there at 190 and key resistance at 287. If we break 190, we continue monthly consolidation. If we break resistance at 287, then we start the monthly bounce. One thing on high tide, we did see the monthly EMA 12 and 26 bear cross, so that is a little positive. If we take a look at Hexo, Hexo's already seen it happened a long time ago actually on Hexo. Let's take a look at Tilray, see how it closed on the monthly here, closed near the low, and we've already seen the monthly bear cross on the EMAs. Trulieve just happened as well, so again, questioning how much more downside we're really going to see from here before we bounce on the monthly, right? We don't just go straight down forever, just like here. We dropped, we came up, it was actually a monthly bear flag, and then we confirmed it, and then a monthly downtrend. But how much did we drop before we bounced on the monthly? We dropped for about 7 months, 8 months, and we dropped about 56% before we saw about a 50% bounce. How much have we dropped since then? About 66%. So one would think we would see another bounce at some point soon. Can it go lower? Absolutely. But let's just say we form a bottom soon and we jump another 50%. That would bring us up to around $22 on Trulieve, right? Nothing goes straight down forever. It forms lower highs and lower lows, or higher lows and higher highs, and it ebbs and flows, right? But I do think that we could see more downside, especially since we don't have a whole lot of positive outlook in the broader market right now. Could be a couple of weeks before we see any real bull catalyst. We're leading into a long weekend and a holiday weekend. Independence Day and Canada Day are very important, so people are pretty much checked out. I don't expect anything really to occur anytime soon. Maybe into the fall. But again, we could potentially expect a pretty big bounce. And if anything like Safe, right, gets any traction, if there's any kind of it catches wind that, you know, this thing could actually, if it has like a 90 or 95% chance of passing, MJ's set up that it could bounce easily 100, 200%, right? Maybe even 300%, I would say. But I think that's pretty much all. We'll take a look at the movers and shakers on the day today. So CGC, like I mentioned, I expected 15% of downside about, and today we finished down 18%. Tilray and OGI leading the decline on the bull list. Did we have any up? PWR, Labs, and Oxley. So Oxley and Hexo holding up. Hexo actually finished almost 3% in the green today. And holding support at 19 cents. So that's the key support to be watching on Hexo. But we did have some green today. And you got to think, too, it's essentially Team Tilray, Afria, Hexo, and Redican. Good luck, Canopy, and other LPs. Wow. Like, if you would have told me 2 years ago that it would be Team Afria, Tilray, Hexo, and Redican, I wouldn't have believed you. I would have said that's borderline unfair. That would never happen. But here we are today. And, wow, like, it's going to be an interesting couple of years ahead, but it's very, very challenging times ahead for the other LPs, especially CGC. Do I think they're going to go bankrupt? No, I did a video on that. You can check that out. But, you know, they're really hoping for U.S. Canopy is really dependent on U.S. legalization, right? They really want to see, you know, acreage deal go through once federally legal at the federal level, and then we'll have that permissibility for them to purchase them, and then they'll be off to the races, right? They'll essentially morph into a hybrid. There'll be a licensed producer, LP in Canada, and there'll be a multi-state operator, MSO, in the US. So there'll be a hybrid, right? And probably one of the first of its kind. MedMen, we know that they purchased some convertible debt, or Tilray purchased some of MedMen's convertible debt, which is similar to the convertible debt here on Canopy that they just sold for issuing shares instead. So essentially they close that convertible debt with shares, dilution, and then MedMen could potentially get acquired by Tilray, but I think that has a less chance of happening than Canopy and Acreage. Acreage is pretty much a shoe-in, so Canopy is very reliant, and also Canopy has a lot of brands and whatnot in the U.S., so they're very, very heavily dependent right now on the U.S. legalization progress. In terms of the U.S. MJ names, we had TAT, TerraSend, and Planet 13 leading the decline today. On the bull list, we had MMEN, speaking of the devil, FIT, and CCHW. BAM also up about 3%. So MedMen closed at the high of the day. notable here, 8 cents. This could be a name, right? I don't hold it at the moment, full disclosure, but this could be one of those names where, you know, you just throw $1,000 into it and let it sit. I mean, we're sitting at 8 cents. I probably wouldn't put more than $1,000 into this, maybe 2 at the max. But I mean, if you look at 8 cents to where we were, that's like a 12x, right? $1,000 investment into like $12,000 if we just get back to where we were. Yeah, we had a little bit of a mixed bag today with some green, some red. But we'll jump into some questions here. But again, as I said, in summary, weekly bear flags across the sector. We got Hexo, weekly bear flag. We had a weekly bear flag on Oxley, weekly bear flag on Trulieve, weekly bear flag on Tilray, Hexo, High Tide. I could probably bring up some more as well, but I won't, just in effort of time. I mean, we'll just do a quick one here. VFF. Is it a weekly bear flag? Looks like it to me. Yep. What do you know? Weekly bear flag, right? How do we know? Because we have a lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high. We didn't start the weekly bounce. Weekly bounce just means we break the high of the previous weekly candle. So we'll just do a quick example. High to the low, and then this is where we started the weekly bounce. Anything we could bounce from these levels on VFF, we could bounce 54% and still be a potential weekly bear flag, right? And then if we take the measured move, you just go from the high to the low, extrapolate that out, grab it here with the tool, put it at the 0.32 fib, and this is just rough. You know, I'm not doing it, sketching it perfectly, but that means like we could see the 150s here on VFF, right? And this is a poster child of the MJ space as well, right? Oh, so bullish, you know, all the analysts, it's so, undervalued and super bullish, and you know they're actually profitable. Well, doesn't matter if they're profitable or they're unprofitable. They're down 87%, just like the rest of MJ, right? So, you get the talking heads just, they don't understand. It's mind-boggling to me that, you got analysts on Wall Street for, maybe decades, and they don't understand that fundamentals don't matter in a market where, the whole sector is new and there's so much growth ahead of it. It's nascent. It's an up-and-coming sector. Like when we're in a bear market in the sector, everything's in a bear market. It's just like crypto, right? Or it's just like tech stocks in the .com days when Amazon and everything was running in the .com days. Was it just Amazon that dropped 95%, or was it all tech stocks? It was pretty much all tech stocks, right? And a lot of them went to zero, right? And a lot of them weren't even first, right? Pets.com, the ones that were first actually didn't even stand the test of time. It was later on that Googles and the Amazons and all that stuff came about, right? So in my opinion, we're going to see a lot of issues in the MJ space. I think we're going to see a lot of bankruptcies. I think we're going to see a lot of companies pivoting their business plan and model, and that's already happened with Neptune Wellness. They already switched out of MJ, right? So there's just no need for this many licensed producers in Canada. First and foremost, 800 some licensed producers. We don't need that many, and they're just not going to be able. We're going into a consumer uncertain time with the consumer spending pattern. People are going to be looking to spend less, and they're not going to be opting in for these $200 ounces of craft bud, in my opinion. But I really think that the tier ones are really going to take back some market share, but not looking good. We could see more downside. SPY, S&P 500 still yet to confirm a daily uptrend, still in a weekly downtrend, monthly downtrend, first time since 2008 and 14, going over 14 years. We could see a lot more downside. So just prepare for that. All right, taking a look at the chat here. Not sure that Seeking Alpha article about CGC was completely FUD now, down over 18%. Well, makes you wonder if they knew something too, right? Manipulation. Just goes to show you that, they probably knew something. But I knew something as well. I did a video. Check out this video. I told you we were targeting 233. Yesterday we closed at 350. Today we hit 271. So, and the news didn't come out about the article today. So how did Rodney know? How did I know that the price was going to target 233? Well, it's simple. It's called technical analysis. And then you get the people who are, that's just hocus pocus, bull, BS, doesn't work. Well, it worked this time. Right? And it's been working. I said, until we confirm weekly and monthly uptrends, we can just expect more downside, right? And I said MJ wasn't set up well at all. If the S&P 500 rolled over, that's exactly what happened. I was shorting the S&P 500 as a hedge. When I made money on that short position on the S&P 500, I looked at MJ and I said, oh, look, MJ's down as a result of the broader market being down. So I took the profits from that short And then I bought more beaten down MJ. I also had a ton of cash. I've been saying 50% of my net worth right now is in cash. And MJ is my smallest position, the smallest segment and sector in my investment portfolio, right? I have more crypto dollar-wise than MJ, right? And then more real estate. I have more cash than anything, right? And that's because I understand market cycles, and I understand that everything can drop a lot lower than we expect. But I gave 2 days heads up that we could potentially see 233 on Canopy. And then the article came out today and people were like, oh, okay, now we believe that we're probably going to go to that 233. But we had a heads up 2 days ago, right? Actually, it was more than that. I just got the video out 2 days ago. But I've been telling private members in POW Group community for a while now, and a lot of people were looking at potentially adding. And a lot of people said, thank you for the call out. And I was able to load like 20% cheaper, right? So that's all technical analysis is. Was it a guarantee? No. But instead of investing $1,000 2 days ago, maybe you put 500 in, and now that we're down 20%, you put the other 500 in, you dollar cost average, right? So it's all about, just coming to the most likely scenario and then developing a plan if hits the fan, right? So I don't think bankruptcy, just because the price is low doesn't mean the stock's going to go bankrupt. That's what I think a lot of people don't understand in investing. Price is irrelevant. Price does not matter, right? Case in point, a lot of people probably thought this stock was going to go to zero. And we'll just zoom out to the monthly here. I was very bullish on this stock, and we had all the people in the world saying, oh, it's going to zero. It's at 51 cents. And it was at, they must have did a reverse split, but like $2,000 at one point. It went to 51 cents. How many people thought that it was going to go to zero and bankrupt? Well, from there, it shot up, 150x. Went from 51 cents to $79. 150x. $1,000 investment into $150,000 in about a year, right? So again, price doesn't matter. It can matter, but that's why you got to do research. You got to do due diligence. You got to do hours and hours of research and know what you're investing in, right? If the price is going down and you're questioning your investment, then you didn't do enough research. You didn't do enough due diligence. You didn't diversify. You only bought one MJ stock. You don't own any other stocks, or you're not shorting. You're not hedging. You're not holding cash just in case. There's many problems that are wrong with that, right? If the price is dropping and you feel bad about your investment, there's probably a good chance that you either A, broke the golden rule, you invested more than you were willing to lose, B, didn't do enough research, C, didn't diversify enough, didn't hedge or hold cash, right? There's many letters that could go in there. I could go all the way from A to Z probably on things that you did wrong if you're feeling like selling, or your thesis is changing because of the price going down, right? I mean, and again, I've said CGC could go to all the way to 230, right, on the weekly bear flag. So 18% is actually not too bad. If this is all we get, well, we're actually doing pretty good, because as we know, we could expect 233. So that means from the low of the day today, that means about another 15% of downside. So we could still see another 15% of downside. And that doesn't mean that we're going bankrupt, right? Doesn't mean that it's game over for Canopy. It just, the whole sector, right, is down. Tilray's down over 95%. Hexo's down over 95%. How much is Canopy down now since the highs of February 2021, about a year and a half ago? Oh, would you look at that? 95%. Just matching the whole rest of the sector, right? It doesn't matter. News is irrelevant. And to be honest, like, these people are getting shares of Canopy. So they must not think like Canopy, Constellation Brands and all these other note holders. Well, why would they accept Canopy shares if it was going bankrupt? Why wouldn't they want to get the convertible debt paid out in cash? Why do they want cheap shares of a floor price of $250? Because they know that Canopy's probably not going to go bankrupt, right? It's backed by Constellation Brands. It's got Stores and Bickle, Martha Stewart, all these other crazy, celebrities endorsing it. And it was just at $67 all-time high, or I guess that was on the Canadian ticker, but $59 all-time high, and then $56, almost $57. Just back in February 2021. So if they're getting a floor price of around $250 and it goes back to the highs of last year, that's 20x. They invest $1 million, that's $20 million, right? Just if it goes back to the highs of 2021. If it goes back to the all-time highs, you're looking at about 21 million. What happens if it exceeds and goes into new price discovery? Well, if it goes to $100, then you're looking at $1 million into about 30 some million dollars, right? So it's all relevant. It's all relative, right? And yeah, share price does not matter. Share price doesn't, it sucks. We never want to see it go down, but this is what things do. It's called the investor psychology cycle, right? Investor psychology cycle. I'm not sure I spelled that correct, but we'll get it here. Why do you think this was created like years ago? What does that look like? Does that not look like CGC? Does that not look like MSOS, the ETF that everybody, everybody in the US says MSOs are the only thing worth owning and LPs are garbage? Well, what does that look like? We go from the low to the high, give it all back and then some. What happens in the investor psychology cycle? We go from the low to the high, we give it all back and then some. It's classic. If you really need to sit there, if people don't understand this, then you probably will never be successful in investing. Maybe you get lucky, but it won't be because of skill. You need to really do your homework on what this means, and that market is all driven by emotions, and that's all this is. If you take a look at every single one of these words, what are they? They're emotions, right? So it's just cycles, trends. So if you don't understand that very basic concept, you're probably not going to make it. Cheers. Welcome to the stream. Just in time. Yeah, you bet. Nice shirt. Thank you. Appreciate it. Does the debt share deal for Canopy have any positives that aren't being mentioned? Yeah, well, like I said, why would all of these note holder, or like why would Constellation Brands want more shares of Canopy if they thought it was going bankrupt? That to me, right, tells me that they don't think that Canopy's going to zero. There's not a whole lot of positives other than that. See if they can think of anything else. They get to save their cash. That's another positive. They may be looking at doing another merger and acquisition, because you got to think now it's Team Tilray, Aphria, Hexo, and Redecan, right? Again, if you would have told me that was going to be the case 2 years ago, I'd tell you that you're out to lunch, and that's borderline unfair and would probably never happen. So Canopy's probably shaking its boots right now, including Constellation Brands, because they own a majority stake in Canopy. So, maybe they got some tricks up their sleeve. Maybe they wanted to do this so that they could potentially save that cash to do another deal, right? That's a possibility as well. So again, why would Constellation Brands want to get more shares in Canopy if they thought it was going to bankrupt? Again, as retail investors, we sometimes can't see past our own nose, right? That's most of everybody's problem. It was my problem when I first got started too. But you need to think about it from a market maker perspective. $1 billion company like Constellation Brands, Corona beer maker, why would they want shares of of Canopy if it were going bankrupt? That simple concept alone should tell you everything that you need to know. Is there risk? Absolutely. There's risk with anything. There's no guarantees. The only guarantee is there are no guarantees, right? So in my opinion, not all doom and gloom. And like I said, they're putting out initiatives, just hits different, beverage campaign, right? Does that sound like somebody who's going bankrupt? They got stores in Bickle, which, sell the vaporizers and things like that. They've got BioSteel. BioSteel's on like the back. They're in like convenience stores now. I'm pretty sure BioSteel's supported and sponsored by MLB, so the Major League Baseball. So again, if I just don't. It's too big to fail, in my opinion. They could sell off so many different assets and brands and parts of their business, and they've got subsidiaries like Supreme now. And I is it possible? Maybe. Is it likely? Very unlikely, in my opinion. Hey, Rod, another great video. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for joining the stream. I bought some Hexo and Tilray today. Nice. Yeah, well, like I said, Tilray. What did it close down? Just under 6%. Tilray also lost the daily uptrend today. So we had the low, high, higher, low, and higher high. We needed to hold 314 to maintain the daily uptrend. Today we dropped to 307, so we lost the daily uptrend. So not looking good. That means zoom out to the weekly time frame and look for weekly consolidation. When we lose a time frame on a shorter time frame, when we lose an uptrend on a shorter term time frame, it means zoom out to the longer term time frame, in this case the weekly, and look for weekly consolidation. What does weekly consolidation mean again? We lose the low of the previous week. What does weekly bounce mean? We break the high of the previous week. So since we changed the daily trend, since we were in a daily uptrend and then we lost the daily uptrend, What does that mean? It means zoom out to the longer term time frame and look for consolidation. So that's exactly what we have. We lost the low of last week at 314. We started weekly consolidation. Now it's all about support at 302. After that, it's the all-time low at 243. And again, weekly bear flag is targeting. And this is the example of how technical analysis can help you. If you just bought Tilray today, well, would your plan have changed if you saw this video? If you heard me say that we had a weekly bear flag that's very close to confirming, if we lose 302, the weekly bear flag confirms and we're targeting 225. Would your purchasing plan, would you have bought the same amount that you bought today if you knew that information? Maybe yes, but maybe no. Maybe you would have invested 50% of what you're going to buy today and then 50% if we drop lower. Right? That's an opportunity, or that's a potential as well. Again, technical analysis isn't, the end all be all. It's just looking at the chart and saying, okay, there's a 60% chance of this happening and a 40% chance of this happening. Well, maybe I will, do 2 orders or 3 orders or something like that because it looks like we could see more downside, right? Because it says 60% we're going down, 40% chance we could go up, right? But yeah, I think anything around these levels is a steal. I wanted to add some Tilray today and some CGC. I sold my CGC about a year ago. I just knew that they were going to have a ton of trouble ahead of them, and they were losing market share like crazy to Hexo and Tilray. Even like Oxley and Organigram are right up there with them now. And like, who would have ever predicted that, right? 5 years ago or 4 years ago, maybe even 3 years ago. But as of the last couple of years, they've been really taking a slide. And if you take a look at their price to earnings and their market cap, I mean, they're still relatively overvalued compared to like a Hexo, like CGC compared to like a Hexo, right? Hexo valued at like 150 million or whatever it is. And Canopy valued at like just under 2 billion, right? We could easily see more turbulence from here. But I wanted to add CGC a couple of days ago, and I'm just waiting, right? Because do I want to get in now and then watch another 20% drop? No. So knowing what I know and that we could potentially go into 233, and the S&P 500 hasn't confirmed a daily uptrend. We're still in a weekly downtrend and a monthly downtrend. We've got bearish indicators all over the place. We've got the consumer spending at pretty much record levels of bearishness, and we could see a lot more trouble ahead, right? We know that the summer is typically a summer lull, a drop off in activity for MJ stocks. It's been the case for like the last 4 or 5 years, as long as I can remember. And until things change, until it's different, we're going to expect the same. And you get people saying, oh, well, this time is going to be different. We have safe banking coming. I don't care. The fact is, it's been the same every single summer. Until it's different, I'm not going to say this time's different, because then you're just filling yourself full of hopium, right? But again, I was going to add CGC today, but because we only dropped 20%, we could still drop another 15%. I could be wrong, and maybe I have to buy higher. But personally, I'm going to look to scale in probably in a couple, 2 or 3 different orders into CGC. I'm also not going to, it's probably only going to be about 5-10% of my MJ portfolio, right? Whereas like a Tilray and Hexo are much, much higher in my portfolio holdings. Also MSOS, the ETF, very, very high holding in my MJ portfolio as well. But again, MJ is my smallest sector investment portfolio in my whole entire portfolio. Why? Because we're in a massive bear market, right? But yeah, good on you for loading today. Definitely can't go wrong at these prices long term if you have a long term horizon. Bulls who do not invest when it is bearish are not smart. Yeah, essentially, if you're an investor, you buy when there's blood in the street, even if the blood is your own. You invest when we're in the floor, and you buy low and you sell high. It's just so cliche, right? It sounds so easy to do, but most people believe what the mainstream media is saying, and they think things are going to go bankrupt. And you know, how many people were saying Amazon was going to go bankrupt when it dropped 95% back in the .com days, and they were saying the internet's a fad. The internet's actually not going to the fax machine. It's no different than a fax machine. That's what people were saying, right? And now you look back and you're like, oh my God, they're like idiots, right? What was their IQ? Like -2? What was it, right? But then you look back and it was just mainstream media playing tricks on you. Right? They were buying and you were selling your cheap shares to them. And then later on you buy the top and then they start selling and then you panic sell and the cycle continues again. What does it remind you of? Anxiety, denial, investor psychology cycle, right? And I swear to God, if someone says, if you compare it to Amazon, I'm going to lose it. It's like, you should just stop investing. If you don't think that that's true, you're not going to make it. Straight up, just quit while you're ahead. How long do they need to hold that 314 to bounce up, generally speaking? How long do they need to hold that 314 to bounce up? You mean on Tilray? Not sure what you mean. 314. Yeah, so 314 was the low. Yeah, maybe if you can just confirm exactly what you're getting at. How long do they need to hold that? I'm not sure what you mean by that. If you can confirm. Okay, you just answered me laughing out loud. Oh, okay, good. I just suck at reading charts. Yeah, I mean, I did too for the longest time. It took like, I'm telling you, I swear to God, I've got over 10,000 hours invested, probably like close to 50,000 hours, I would say, in technical analysis and charting. And, you know, the first year or two, I was like, oh, I'm finally starting to understand charts. And then after like 2.5 years, I was like, man, I know absolutely nothing. And then after 3 years, I was like, okay, I'm getting the hang of it. And then in the fourth year, you're like, okay, now it's really starting to click, right? It's like playing guitar. You have to suck for like the longest time. And then eventually, like one day, you're just like, oh, I'm getting the hang of it, right? So that's what the analogy I would use. But after a while, once you get used to it, again, it's not the end all be all. It doesn't mean that we're going to be correct 100% of the time. It's just as long as you can be correct more often than you're wrong, right? That's all we're looking at. Oh, I do remember that you said 314 last time. I took that into consideration. Yep. Good stuff. Can we look at the US 10 yield chart, please? Do you see it popping out or hitting the 5% area soon? Yeah, we can take a look at that. I did bring it up yesterday. I think it's on the verge of a daily, yeah, it's in a daily downtrend here. A new daily lower low. So yeah, it could see another EMA 12 and 26 bear cross as well. It just means that when the shorter term EMA crosses down through the longer term, that means it usually insinuates more downside. And then we know we have no support on the 10-year until 2.7%. So that means we could drop from here just to our next support level, would be almost 10% a drop from here. And again, we could see an EMA 12 and 26 bear cross, meaning more downside. It's a daily inside bar at the moment. So resistance is 3.1% and support is at 2.97%, but we're in a daily downtrend. Again, how do you know when we're in a daily downtrend? We form a lower high and a lower low. What's a daily uptrend? A low, a high, a higher low, and a higher high. It's the opposite. It's essentially just inverse, right? You can even go here and you can invert the chart as well. You can invert the scale. So this would look like an uptrend if it were going the other way, right? And then we would see an EMA 12 and 26 bull cross, meaning more upside. And then we would have no resistance up until up here, right? So it's just the exact opposite when you invert it, right? And this is a downtrend, lower high and lower low. So in order to break the daily downtrend, we need to get above 3.25%. If we go up and break that resistance level, then we're no longer in a daily downtrend. But it doesn't mean we're in a daily uptrend. We still need that higher low and higher high to be in a daily uptrend. You can have an uptrend, you can have a downtrend, or you can have neither. It can either be a flat trend, it can be an uptrend or a downtrend. That's all it can be, right? And that's what I think a lot of people don't understand. That was one of the things that really was hard for me to grasp was, oh, we're either in a downtrend or an uptrend. And then that's where I thought I knew what I was doing, but I didn't really grasp the concept. And to my own perception and my brain, I thought I understood. I thought it's like golfing the wrong way. You know, if you learn the wrong way, you think you're doing it right, but you develop all these bad habits, right? And unless somebody points it out to you, you might fully think in your head that you're doing it the proper way, right? And that's what's so complicated and what frustrates a lot of people about technical analysis is you don't have that support or that lifeline to maybe coach you or guide you or say, hey, you're doing that wrong, or maybe try this or whatever, right? And that's the whole idea of POW Group in a nutshell, was to, help people not make the same mistakes that I made, and it's a journey, right? It doesn't happen overnight. Pursuit of wealth, right? But yeah, lower high, lower low. We are forming a bit of a falling wedge here. you could say, we'll just draw this out. Might look better without log scale. Let's just draw this out. Not really a wedge, it's more of a parallel channel here. So you can see here we're just targeting. So yeah, we could be targeting down here somewhere around the 2.8%. Could go as low as 2.7%, right? But zooming out, just looking back at your question, do you see it topping out or hitting the 5% area soon? You mean bottoming out? Or topping out or hitting the 5% area soon? Yeah, I'm not really sure what you mean by that. It would make more sense if it's bottoming out, because 5% would mean that we're going up. But we're still in a weekly uptrend. It kind of looks like the dollar, so the DXY. These charts are very similar. It's the first thing I just noticed. Why is that the case? Because they're safe haven. When there's rapid inflation and uncertain times, the economy's not strong, you usually see the 10-year rate and bonds, treasuries, things like that, the dollar going up. But it's very similar to the DXY. You can see DXY still in a weekly uptrend, and on the daily time frame, not as weak. We didn't confirm a daily downtrend. We were close. We have an equilibrium at the moment. We have the high, low, lower high, higher low. Actually broke the equilibrium bullish, but we're still just a lower high compared to 105.78. So if we would have formed this lower high here at 104.94 and then formed a lower low and dropped below 103.41 support, that would have confirmed a daily downtrend, just kind of like what the 10-year did, right? With the lower high and lower low. Where's 10-year at now? There we go. So yeah, lower high and lower low. See, we got that lower high and lower low, but the dollar a little bit stronger at the moment. So I think the dollar may even go up to around the 110 area. And again, just not spelling a good outcome for stocks or crypto or MJ, right? But daily downtrend, and again, could see that EMA 12 and 26 bear cross. And again, when we're in a daily downtrend, what does that mean? It means zoom out to the weekly and look for weekly consolidation. Consolidation just means we're losing the low of the weekly candle prior to that, and that's exactly what's happening. It's actually week 2 of consolidation. We broke the low of the last candle the previous week, and now we're doing it again this week. So we're now on week 2 of consolidation, but again, we're still in a weekly uptrend. We could potentially be looking at a head and shoulders. That's something to be watching out for as well. And again, we would still need to form the right shoulder, so it's a little premature to be calling that pattern. You can even go here and grab your head and shoulders tool. And we have a lot of monthly head and shoulders forming. Bitcoin had one, Tesla has one. Again, Bitcoin has the right shoulder already formed and actually dropped. And what do we know about Bitcoin and crypto? It's been leading the market ever since March 2020 lows. Why? Because Tesla holds Bitcoin on its balance sheet. It actually made more money off its Bitcoin investment one quarter than it did off selling cars, right? So when Bitcoin goes up, Tesla goes up because they have it on their balance sheet. And then because Tesla has such a high weighting in the S&P 500, then the S&P 500 reacts. So it's Bitcoin, Tesla, S&P 500. That's kind of the pattern that we've been watching and the correlation. And that's why we're seeing Tesla lag a little bit in terms of the monthly head and shoulders. So again, actually, sorry, it was a weekly head and shoulders there on the 10-year. But you can see here monthly head and shoulders, right? But look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin had a right shoulder, head, left shoulder, head, right shoulder, down. So it had already confirmed it. It already has the right shoulder. So does that increase the odds that Tesla's going to do it as well? Yes, it does. Does that increase the odds that it could spill over into other tech names? Yes, it can. But essentially, we're going to expect the opposite, right? If rates keep going up, stocks will probably go down. But if this breaks down and sees a head and shoulders, then that might be, so for example, while this is coming down to the neckline, Tesla might do the opposite and may go up to form its monthly lower high and right shoulder. So see how close we are to the neckline on Tesla? It'd essentially be the opposite. So while it's pretty much at its neckline, the 10-year might go a little bit higher, and then Tesla might go a little bit lower. Tesla comes down to around that 550 area where the neckline is, and then it starts the monthly bounce, and then the 10-year comes down to the neckline on the weekly, right? That's what I could potentially see happening. And again, that's why that's why charting and like the markets aren't for everybody, because this is like, you know, even in my head, after doing this for over a decade, it still kind of racks my brain sometimes. Sometimes I have to get away from the computer, right, and just chill out and not look at any charts for a while. So being somebody like new, when I was new, it was like, wow, this is overwhelming, right? But you just gotta kind of keep it simple. And if you're just looking at, like, I saw so many people today asking why this was down or why that was down. It's like the S&P 500 has been down for, 20% from the highs, right? That alone should tell you that, oh, like the whole stock market's down, right? That's, just knowing that. But you don't need to, you don't need to pay attention to the dollar and crypto and S&P 500 tech sector and MJ and electric vehicles. You can join a group like POW Group. Doesn't have to be POW Group, but you can join a group of community of different traders and investors, and the more eyes you have on the market, the better. And you don't have to understand everything. It's like I see some people when it comes to some different cryptos, they're like, oh, I have to research every little fine detail. It's like, well, you don't buy a cell phone and have to, before you spend $1,000 on a cell phone, you don't need to know how all the zeros and ones make up the inner workings of a cell phone. You just know that it works, right? So that's kind of the idea behind, some of this technology. We don't need to always, anyway, I'm going off on a tangent here, but taking a look at the weekly chart, weekly consolidation still in a weekly uptrend as long as we hold 2.7%. If we lose 2.7%, we lose the weekly uptrend. Or if we form a lower high compared to 3.49% from here and then a lower low, then we confirm a weekly downtrend. So the scenario would be A, we continue to consolidate, lose support, lose the weekly uptrend. Scenario B would be we continue to consolidate, we hold support, but then we start the bounce. Again, what's the bounce mean? Just means we're breaking the high of the previous weekly candle, but then we ultimately form a lower high, and then we form a lower low, and then that would be a weekly downtrend, which would be good for stocks. Or we come down, we form a higher low and a higher high, and we continue the weekly uptrend. There's only 3 scenarios, right? Or we just go sideways forever, which isn't really accurate, because you can't go sideways forever. Eventually, it's going to break down, right? So you can either go up, down, or sideways. It's the only outcomes. But yeah, that to answer your question, it's hard to say. I mean, the weekly uptrend is the most important factor, and it's also holding EMA 12 there quite well. But just watch for a potential right shoulder to be forming if we get to that neckline. Again, a little premature, but we're still in a weekly uptrend. And as long as we hold that 2.7% area, then yeah, I mean, 5% from here is quite a ways away. You're looking at, from current levels, you're looking at about 65% bounce from here. Yeah, it's, pretty much the economy would just like have to enter a full-blown Great Depression again, in my opinion, for that to happen again. But given how beaten down we are in some of our names, but I would say there's more than likely a chance that, we top out somewhere around 4. We are seeing some hidden bearish RSI divergence as well. We're trending with higher lows and higher highs on the price action, but you can see here we have lower highs and lower lows on the RSI. Where did we see that before? On a lot of our stocks, right? Tesla had the same thing, but it was on the monthly chart. We had lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, higher lows, and higher highs. It's called bearish RSI divergence. I already had it drawn out there. See that? So you just zoom out to the monthly here. You can see we're trending up. This is trending down. What actually happened? We went all the way from 1152 down to 626. That's what you call hidden bearish RSI divergence. It would be the opposite on the other direction. If we're going down and then up, it would be called hidden bullish RSI divergence. And RSI just is an indicator of whether or not we're oversold and overbought. Anything down here below 30 is considered oversold. Anything around here around 70 or above is considered overbought. So if you knew nothing about charting and technical analysis and didn't listen to mainstream media news, that's the kicker. You can't listen to mainstream media news because they're gonna shake you out. Even if we're going up to the upside, they're gonna tell you that it's going up forever, and they're gonna release FOMO article after FOMO article to get you from selling when you should be. And then when we're down here, they're gonna release bankruptcy, FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt. Up here it's FOMO, fear of missing out. Down here it's FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt. So then they just, that's why most people can't buy low, sell high, or sell high, buy lows, because they listen to what the mainstream media is doing, trying to get the herd, thinking of it as sheep, and the directors telling the sheep to all go this way, but they're doing the opposite, right? That's kind of what they want you to do, because it's a game. This is a game. It's like a casino. The house is institutions, and we're the customer. We're the retail investors. We're the people going into the casino with a disadvantage, right? And they control all the media companies as well. And people are listening to like BNN and CNN and CNBC and taking it like, oh my God, CNBC said we're going down, or said we're going to continue to go up, right? I usually do the opposite, not all the time, but I'm a very much a contrarian type of integrator. But again, going back to what I was saying, if you just only bought here, if you just only sold in this black area here when we're overbought, and only buy when we're near here, you do way better than 95% of people, right? And again, what should you have done back here? We had this bearish RSI divergence. You could have sold when we were up around these levels, and then look to buy when we're oversold, right? So let's take what we know and go back to MSOS, or a better example would be like a Tilray. Now, I guess it wouldn't be a Tilray either, but you get the gist. There's not enough trading history on that. CGC is probably better. Yeah, so CGC, buy here. Buy around $1 when we're oversold. Okay, seems like a pretty simple strategy. Oh, we're overbought and we're at $14. I'm up, 1,400%. Seems like a good idea to sell. But we had this bearish RSI divergence again. Lower highs and lower lows, higher lows and higher highs. Right? It can always go up a lot more than you expect, and it can always go down a lot more than you expect. So just like we went way higher than we expected here, we're going a lot lower than we expected here. But again, what should we be doing when we're close to oversold on the monthly? Ding, 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 buy. Right? But the media will tell you it's going bankrupt, right? Why? But they didn't tell you it was going bankrupt back here because the price was high, right? But when the price is low, people actually believe it. They're like, oh, the price is low. That must mean bankruptcy. No, that's not what it means. Amazon dropped 95% in 2001. Where's it at today? Is it bankrupt? No. How much did Canopy drop? 95%. Look at that. It's just emotions. All this is, guys, is emotions. People look at this and they're like, oh, it doesn't work. Technical analysis is garbage. It's emotion. It's all it is. And why do you think it's so similar? And I swear, if somebody says, don't compare it to Amazon, I don't even listen to those people. It's just not even worth my time. You clearly have no idea how markets work. You might as well quit your head. Yeah, everything's undervalued. But yeah, I don't know about the 10-year, to be honest. I'm not an economist expert by any means. If I just look at the chart, I would think that we could potentially see more upside from here. But you just be looking at that weekly uptrend. Watch that weekly uptrend. If we lose that, then that's going to be bad. If we continue the weekly uptrend, we could go as high as 4%. I don't know about 5%, though. Anything's possible. And got to think, too, right? Leading into the midterms is, like, into the fall in November, are the politicians really going to want to enter a full-blown, like, we're in a recession. We have 2 quarters. Well, we get the GDP numbers out for next quarter here, I think in July. So like in a couple of weeks or whatever it is, I can't remember the date, but we could be entering a full-blown recession. And one thing you have to remember is, what's the mainstream media going to do if we actually print 2 quarters? By definition, it's 2 quarters of back-to-back negative growth in GDP, gross domestic product. So what's the mainstream media going to do? They're going to be pummeling the bearish articles, right? We're in a recession. It's confirmed. And then all the retailers are going to be like, oh my God, I need to sell. But they didn't have a plan, right? They're selling based on emotion. They're not selling because like MJ's going to zero and all MJ's going to zero. They're selling because we're entering a recession and, they're just going to panic sell the bottom, right? So watch for the talking heads, mainstream media, to start really shoving that down our throats, saying we're in a recession. That's going to create a huge amount of panic and probably a sell-off. But then leading into the fall, into the midterms, we're probably going to have a huge rally because they're not going to want to vote for the Democrats or a party that put us into a full-blown recession, right? Anything's possible. Maybe they want this to happen. I've heard the phrase controlled demolition of the financial system. That's a possibility. We need to be prepared for all scenarios, right? But I would think that the 10-year is probably going to consolidate soon. Maybe it sees one more leg up around 4%, and then it drops. And then, after the midterm elections into, I think 2023 is going to be brutal. The end, like somewhere in the mid 2023, I think that's when we're going to really start to bleed out. And we could be entering a pretty rough time in the stock market for the next 1 to 2 years. But great question on the 10-year. Hexo is undervalued, yeah, and it makes me sad. Yeah, everything's undervalued, right? They all look the same. I would argue that, there's worse charts out there, but there's not really. This is pretty much the epitome of terrible charts, right? MSOS is up there. Kind of looks like MSOS actually, where we had the low, high, and then all the way down past it. Again, you get all those MSO maximalists and American MJ maximalists who say, oh, you see, I told you MJ in Canada was garbage, and then now they're humbled, right? Everybody's a genius in a bull market, but guarantee you people are down big time, just as much as they were on, as some were on Canadian MJ, right? So if there's anything to take from that is the fact that it's not just Hexo, right? We need to get away from Hexo's undervalued. We need to replace Hexo with MJ, right? Or anything. I see people like, oh, Tilray CEO's a crook. He gets paid way too much money. It's just, complete robbery of retail and investor capital. Well, then don't invest. I don't know what to tell you. MJ isn't for everybody. Maybe there's not just Tilray. And then they're like, I have an average of $15 on Tilray. And I'm like, well, did Tilray hit the buy button? Why did you buy it at $15, right? Why didn't you dollar cost average? Why didn't you do this and that? Hedge, keep cash on the side. Like, there's so many people just want to point the finger at somebody, and they don't want to take responsibility on them for their own selves, right? Or you haven't lived through a bear market before, or a 90+% correction, and you just don't understand, or you didn't think it was possible, but now you know, right? Just consider it as a tough lesson learned, right? 314 on Tilray equals pi. If Constellation Brands is increasing their position in CGC, this could be a positive for shareholders. Yeah, exactly. That's what I said earlier. They want cheap shares, right? They're probably shorting the freaking thing. Market makers are all probably shorting it. Zoom out on the 10-year. Yeah, I did zoom out to the weekly. I didn't actually go to the monthly, but yeah, we can check it real quick. So yeah, the monthly, we're overbought. So what do we know about things when they're overbought? We shouldn't be buying and expecting much more upside. But just like CGC and Tesla, it peaked here, right, in February 2020 on the RSI, but the price kept going up, right? It gets extreme to the upside. So it can always keep going higher. So taking what we know, generally you shouldn't be buying here. If you want to, you shouldn't be bullish when we're overbought, but that doesn't mean we can't go higher, right? Tesla's and everything else that we saw in the everything bubble of 2022 is evidence of that. But that being said, we have no monthly support down to 1.66%. So nothing goes straight up forever. We're overbought. We're starting to see a bit of an upper wick here. So if we do lose the low here at 2.83, monthly consolidation will be underway. And then we'll target the EMAs down here around 220 to 189. But we could drop from here all the way down. We could drop about 42%, still be in a monthly uptrend. And then that would just be healthy. We would come down, cool off the RSIs on this monthly consolidation, and then maybe we go to 4 or 5% after that, right? But I certainly wouldn't want to be a bull on this one right now. Can it go higher? Absolutely. What do the odds say, though? Probably that we're due for some consolidation and a pretty big pullback, at least in the interim, but it would be healthy, right? That's what people don't understand. When we're down 10, 20% on a stock, they think, oh, we're automatically doomed, right? But then, like you say, zoom out, and we could still be in a monthly uptrend. What do we know when something is in a monthly uptrend? It's in a bull market. If it's in a monthly downtrend, that's a bear market, right? Look at SPY. SPY was in a monthly, SPY hadn't confirmed a monthly downtrend since 2008 financial crisis. Lower high and lower low. So that was over 14 years ago, right? And then here we are here. In 2022, high, low, lower high, lower low. Monthly downtrend, bear market. When we're in a monthly uptrend, bull market. Simple as that. Taking in consideration that today has the last day of the quarter and the last day of the half of the year, it's also the last day of the month. I think that MJ held at a good level. Hexo went up in the after hours. Yep. I would agree. That's at 21, so it's flat here after hours. Yeah, I saw some people like, oh my God, Hexo's up like a bunch after hours. I looked, it was like 1 penny. If you get excited about 1 penny, man, you're gonna have a hard time not selling if it goes up $1. I'm not looking to sell anytime soon. I'll be happy. Like my average on Hexo right now is like a 140 Canadian or something, 150. I really don't care unless we get above that. And then once we get above that, I'm probably gonna, maybe take out my initial investment or something like that. But maybe around $2 or $3. But yeah, I'm not selling anytime soon, or any of my MJ for that matter. I'll be happy. Let me know when it gets to $1 after hours, or in general, I'll be happy then. But 1 penny, no, that's not what I'm after. I play stocks like Happy Gilmore plays golf. Yep, like a true pro. Did Tilray bail Hexo out yet with that deal they're making? Good question, Steve. So they haven't yet. We still need shareholder approval from Hexo shareholders. They circulated. They had a circular that went around for the Chaos Capital backstop. That was approved by shareholders. And then even after that happened, I saw retail like, oh my God, Hexo made us vote for the deal. And then they made an amendment and cut the deal price by like half. And we already voted yes. And then there was literally another press release saying there'll be another circular for the voting. You'll do it again. Right? Like people, again, they don't look at logic. They don't actually try to understand things. They just react emotionally. And they're like, oh my God, like what a shady move. They just wanted us to vote yes. And then they changed the amendment. Well, if they change the amendment, you have to vote again, right? So that's why we only voted back on, what was it, the 14th? I think it was. That's why we only voted for Chaos Capital, and they stripped out the Tilray deal because now they're going to send another circular, and I think they have until the 15th of July. But it should be some point next week. There's also some Redecan announcements. There's going to be some new products. We know that the new King Pack, 2 packs of WAPA, 2 packs of Cold Creek Kush, and 3 packs of Black Cherry Punch is coming out. I don't know if that's what they meant for new products, but it could be a new strain as well. But I'm also hearing that there was potentially like CPG partner was leaked, but it came from Reddit. That tells you all you need to know. Probably not very credible. No offense to the person who said that, but anything I look at on Reddit, I take with a grain of salt. And if you're going to say the CPG partner was leaked, you better give some supporting evidence, right? Or else I'm just not gonna believe you. Not that I don't trust your judgment or anything. It's just if you don't give me hard facts, well, it's hard for me to take what you're saying seriously, right? Especially when you're on Reddit, that like your credibility just went to like 1%, right? And then that's kind of why I formed PAL Group too. Is a lot better quality. It's just a lot better quality. Like it's amazing the group of people we have. A lot of really smart people that don't just act on emotions, which I really respect and appreciate. But yeah, they're due to approve that deal into mid-July, so we're going to look for shareholder approval from. I still haven't gotten the circular yet to re-vote for that. I'll have to look into that. Actually, set myself a reminder here right now. Thanks for. I'll have to look into that. I'll let everybody know as well. Hexo Tilray vote. Probably do that next week. Actually, I'll look into it tomorrow because. Tomorrow the market's still open in Canada, in the US. So I will check into that tomorrow and I'll keep everybody posted. July 1st tomorrow. Wow, time's flying. And like another thing I'm doing right now to weather the bear market is I'm looking at buying a condo, right? And then maybe doing an Airbnb. Maybe I'll just do a month-to-month or a long-term rental. Haven't decided yet, but like, what are you doing, right? Are you just staring here at charts all day? Are you out there like growing your net worth? Are you looking into other industries? Are you just only focusing on MJ, right? Like there's so many things that we can be doing, right? To better diversify and increase our streams of income. Like when I lost a bunch of money in crypto in 2019, 2018, an exchange went insolvent and took 1 Bitcoin, 2 Ethereum. I lost over like I think it was like 12 or 13 grand back in the peak. That would have been like $150,000 last year, right? And it went zero. I lost it all. And then I ended up working, skip the dishes. I was doing like some food delivery and stuff like that. And I was working a full-time job, but I was doing deliveries in the evenings and the weekends. And, I'd make $300 or $400 a week extra money. And I was investing that into crypto in the bear market after I lost all of it. And then it ended up changing my life. And then I was buying real estate 5-6 years ago before the everything bubble of 2022. And then everything blew up, right? Over 100% in some properties. How many times have you ever seen a house go up over 100% in a couple of years? My buddy bought a house for $200,000. It was over $400,000 3 years later. Like, when does that ever happen? Right? But if you have all your eggs in one basket, or if you're not like taking multiple, if you're not diversifying and taking multiple avenues, then you got to make your own luck, right? But yeah, no, the Tilray deal should be done next month. But the fact that they filed creditor protection with Cannabis tells me that it's pretty much a shoe-in that the deal's done, because why would they close that and get rid of their EU GMP facility in Malta, which was access to international markets, if they weren't going to go with the Tilray deal? Because once the Tilray's deal is done, they have to source products from international from Tilray, excluding Canada and the US. Hexo has full game to do everything it wants on its own terms in Canada and the US, and it's going to focus more on the US. We know that they just established Hexo USA Inc., which is a new separate entity in the US, and they're going to be focusing primarily on Canada, maintaining number one position market share in Canada, and looking at the hemp CBD market while we await federal legalization. And then they'll tackle the federal or the legal market, right? So they have a lot of work cut out for them just in Canada and the US alone, and Canada still has a lot of growth as well. But did they bail Hexo out yet? Not yet. We're expected to close the deal in mid-July and end of July. So either mid-July or beginning part of August, Steve. You should see that. Hey, Rod, happy Canada Day. Thank you. I appreciate it. Happy birthday. I don't know. Who knows? Maybe it's your birthday today. Happy Canada Day. Is Amazon profitable? Laughing out loud, joking. I get what you mean. Yeah, exactly. And you got to think, too, Amazon dropped 95% and they weren't selling illegal drugs. Like, there's places in the world where you get the death penalty for selling MJ, and people are like not understanding or not like, giving MJ a break. It's like Amazon dropped 95% and they were selling books, things that were legal, right? And the stock still plummeted 95%. MJ's federally illegal in the US, and some places offer the death penalty for simple possession, and you're telling me you're not okay with a 95% drawdown? Well, guess what? Even companies selling legitimate legal products dropped 95% before. And they were profitable, and they were doing strong. Like, their fundamentals were very strong, right? Amazon was very strong at that time when it dropped 95%. But again, fundamentals don't matter in a bear market. Again, this is all... But, you get the trolls and the people who just, if they don't understand it by now, after, me responding to them and actually putting some thoughtful discourse and responding thoughtfully into it, and they don't understand, then they never will, right? And, they probably will never be successful at investing, right? Because you need to understand that. Like, that is, you listen to any well-known or successful investor, like, this isn't me saying it. Like, this is just my research and me listening to, if you want something in your life, then go ask somebody who knows what they're doing and do what they did, right? Don't listen to the trolls and the naysayers on, on the internet. But yeah, good to hear that you understand, because yeah, it's funny that it's so simple, and some people just think it's absolute ludicrous. Yeah, do critical thinking. Exactly. I think that's part of the problem with technology is today we're too reliant on technology, too reliant on being spoon-fed everything, including our news, right? Which, if you're looking at mainstream media for your source of news, you're doing it the complete wrong way. You're better off to do the opposite of what they're telling you to do, right? And again, yeah, use critical thinking. Not sure if you follow Bitcoin, but do you have any opinion on how it will perform during a recession? You have amazing insight, great content. Thank you. Appreciate it. The kind words. I appreciate the support. Yeah, absolutely. So Bitcoin, it's not looking good. If we we know that the Grayscale spot ETF just got denied conversion from Grayscale into the trust into the spot ETF, and Grayscale is now suing the SEC in light of that, and that could spell more turmoil for crypto and Bitcoin. It's an MJ video, so I'll try to keep it more short and sweet here, but we could see an EMA 12 and 26 bear cross on the monthly, insinuating more downside. And if we take a look at the measured move here from this head and shoulders, I believe the target is about 14K. Let's go back here. So you're looking at, about 13K. We could be going down to about 13K. And then we don't have any monthly support after that till 9,800, so 10,000 psychological. So wouldn't be surprised if we drop to the $12,000 area on Bitcoin. And we're in a monthly downtrend with a lower high and lower low. Could still see that monthly EMA 12 and 26 bear across. But I mean, on the weekly time frame, we're oversold. Not yet monthly oversold as well, but we're the lowest on the monthly RSI that we've ever been on Bitcoin. Does that mean that we're nearing a bottom? No. We can still go a lot lower from here. But like, one thing I don't understand too is people are like, oh, I can't believe how much Bitcoin's down. And I'm like, really? Just where was it at in March 2020 in C19 though? We're still up 400%. And people are like, doomsday, it's the end of the world. And I'm like, what more could you ask for? Right? Like, at least it's still up 400%. What's Netflix looking like? C19, lows, March 2020. We were at 290. Where are we at now? 162. So we're actually down 46%. What would you rather, Netflix or Bitcoin? Right? And that's another thing, too. People think, like, MJ is undervalued. Well, Netflix just dropped almost 80% in 6 months. And it's a huge company. So again, you can't be hating on MJ. MJ's illegal. Illegal. These guys are selling legal stuff and they're down 80% in a couple months. MJ companies are selling illegal stuff and they're down 90% in a couple years, right? I would say, like, just give MJ a break. And everything's risky. But yeah, Bitcoin, I think that we could see more downside. Not looking good. Like I said, leading into a holiday weekend, we might see just continued flushing out. I think we could see even more bankruptcies. Kevin O'Leary pointed to it as well, that we could see a lot more, maybe Tether, USDT, Tether from Bitfinex goes under. That's a possibility. We could see other companies fail as well. There's a billionaire that just said, I can't remember his name, said that there's Sam Bankman-Fried, the CEO of FTX, Crypto.com, said that there's already some lower tier, like tier 2, tier 3 exchanges on the lower, like the lower side, in terms of market cap and volume, that are already secretly insolvent, which means that they're probably going to go to zero, right? And if that's the case, we could see more downside from here. And again, if we enter a recession and we get the GDP numbers out next month, what is the mainstream media going to be doing? Recession, panic. And then it's just going to create that one final capitulated move, in my opinion. And then we set the bottom sometime into the summer and then into the fall, into the midterm elections. Nobody wants to look bad going into the midterms. And then that's when they rebound everything. I'm waiting on legalization. Yeah, same here. The money that I put into MJ was money that I was willing to let sit for many, many years. I see some people saying I have to sell because I have to pay my rent. I'm like, ugh. If you're investing money into MJ was originally for rent, you're doing it all wrong, right? You picked the second most riskiest asset class in the planet to use your rent money. That's not good. The most riskiest is crypto and then MJ, right? So literally, if you're going to take money that you're using to like feed your family or put a roof over your head, you might as well just not do it at all. Or have a different plan, right? Maybe only put $50 in a week, every paycheck or something like that, right? And kiss that money goodbye. It's not touching it, letting it sit. Have a long-term portfolio, right? Have a short-term portfolio where you do some trades, but have a long-term no touch where you don't even log in unless it's to buy, right? And you're not going too heavy or investing any more than you're willing to lose. And then if we drop, you're saying, great, I'm just going to buy more and dollar cost average. That was my strategy, right? That's like the only strategy that makes sense, in my opinion, in MJ and crypto in a bear market, because it can always go lower and nobody's a genius. The only time people are geniuses is in a bull market when the prices are going up, right? See, I told you, I just threw a dart and voila, right? Like, yeah, but now how is your portfolio doing? And you know, you get some crypto companies going to zero, like Terra Luna and Celsius, right? They literally went to zero, and you get like the SEC suing Ripple, who's a legitimate company, has been in the top 10 cryptos for the entire existence of its entire lifetime, and it's up, you know, 100, 200% from the lows of when they were sued by the SEC. And then instead of SEC going after like Luna, Terra Luna, or Celsius, that actually went to zero and people actually lost all of their money. No, they had to go. Why did they sue Ripple? Is because Ripple's a great company and they know that they're going to make a crap ton of money off suing them. Guess who they also sued? They sued, SEC sued Amazon, they sued Tesla, they sued Apple, they sued Facebook. They sued all the major billion-dollar, trillion-dollar companies, right? And that's why I think it's all just a power grab and a money grab, right? And it could get a lot worse. So just expect more downside there potentially as well. But if you're looking to average into Bitcoin, not a bad idea to start scaling in. We know Michael Saylor at MicroStrategy bought another 10 million worth dollar cost averaging. So again, what are the billionaires doing, right? Park your pennies next to their dollars and just mirror that. And then don't listen to mainstream media. Don't give in to your emotions. Do some research. Personally, I don't own any Bitcoin at the moment. I think that it's dial-up to the internet. It's basically the dial-up of internet. And just because it's first doesn't mean it's going to stand the test of time. Actually, I sent Bitcoin the other day. It took 45 minutes to send. That doesn't sound like a solution to the future to me. That sounds like dial-up. And what do we know about dial-up today? Don't see too many people using it anymore. Does that mean Bitcoin for sure going to go to zero or not be used in the future? No, not necessarily. But does that also doesn't mean that just because it's first, it's going to stand the test of time. So I just think there's better opportunities out there. And like I said, Bitcoin's still up 400%, over 400% from March 2020 C19 lows. Hi from Ohio. Welcome. Hello from Edmonton, Alberta. Welcome to the stream. Tried the Grape XMG, pretty good. Yeah, the alt one, the no sugar. Yeah, that one was pretty good. I'm not a big grape fan. I like the cherry better than that one, but yeah, they're both good for a no sugar option for sure. I did some product review videos as well. Check out the new Redican Reddies. I didn't smoke it in this video because I didn't want YouTube to flag it as age restricted, because then people can't. They have to like sign in and be over 18, and people most people don't sign into a YouTube. They just click on the link, and if it's not readily available and playing, they won't watch it, right? They don't like friction. Again, people like to be spoon-fed everything. It's the instant gratification, no work mentality. But anyway, then in this video, I did another one. I actually did smoke the Reddies Plus in that one, but that's a phenomenal product. Yeah, check out those review videos. What else did I do? Oh yeah, these new can beverages. Those were really good. But yeah, just go to playlists and product reviews. Oh, that's interviews. Where's the product reviews? Whoa. Something's playing in the background. Not sure what happened there. Product reviews. Here it is. Oh my God. So yeah, you just go down here, check out all the playlists, and I got like tons of product reviews in there too as well. For anybody tuning in who didn't already know that. The Bedfellows are really good. Yeah, the new XMG sodas are really good, but high in sugar. Do you have a positions in Village Farm? No, I went over that earlier. It is a weekly bear flag as well. I don't have a position. I think it'll do well though. I just think there's better opportunities out there in terms of risk to reward, like in terms of like Tilray maybe. You know, like High Tide's another one. I would encourage also checking out my MJ Top 5 Holdings video. I added High Tide as well. You want to have more than just licensed producers in Canada. You want to have more than just multi-state operators in the US. You want to have a mix of retailers as well, like a High Tide. Maybe you want to have a mix of small, medium, and large cap LPs and a mix of small, medium, and large cap MSOs. Maybe you want to throw a couple ETFs in there as well, one for Canada, one for the US, that has a basket of different stocks, right, that's actively managed for you by a fund manager. I own all of those in my portfolio, right? I also invest in individual stocks, in MJ stocks, but I have retailers and ETFs as well. VFF, I'm pretty sure I'd have it in the ETF, but that's the only exposure I have to it at the moment. But, you know, not a bad idea to pick some of that up, in my opinion. Like, they have good financials and fundamentals, and it's just because of the bear market that we're in, it's not being spared, right? But don't own any at the moment. But yeah, it's definitely a name that I'd be bullish on long term. I don't think that one's gonna, you know, have any staying power issues long term. I think it'll be a good long term investment. Have a good night, Rod. Thanks for the stream. You're welcome. Same to you. And we're coming up on an hour and a half here. Still got quite a few people joining in, and it was pretty late. See, it's 10 p.m. on the East Coast. It's only 8 o'clock here on the West Coast, but yeah, gonna go get myself some food, some dinner, and probably do a little bit of celebrating tonight and into tomorrow, but don't want to celebrate too much tonight because Canada Day tomorrow and the fireworks. So happy Canada Day. Have a great long weekend, everybody. For those in, I guess everybody, because Monday's Independence Day. So happy Canada Day, happy Independence Day to our friends and neighbors from the South. Wish you the best holiday ahead. And yeah, just expect more downside in MJ. That was the the summary that I wanted to, and the whole topic that I wanted to push today was we could see more downside with these weekly bear flags across the sector. It's a tough time, right? And I totally empathize with everybody. I know how it feels to watch your account just bleed out. But I mean, it makes no sense to get down. It's only money, right? And it's not going to be the last time that things drop 90%, right? So going to end it there. If you could smash a like on your way out, I would appreciate it. And I know these videos go long when I do live streams, and not everybody will watch them when they're over. I think it's kind of funny too, because if you break a video up into two 20-minute videos, it's essentially one 40-minute video. But people are okay when it's two 20-minute videos, but they're not okay when it's one 40-minute video. It just makes absolutely no sense to me. It's like 40 minutes to invest in your future and your family's future and your retirement, not worth it. I was like, again, you're probably not going to make it, right? And I know people get offended by that or whatever. I'm not here to tell you what you want to hear. I'm here to tell you what you need to hear. And if you're not going to put 40 minutes into your future and your retirement and your family's future, you're probably not meant for the stock market, right? Or investing, because it takes hundreds of thousands of hours. Just like they say, 10,000 hours to become an expert at anything. If you're not willing to put in 40 minutes, you're probably not willing to receive the results either, or deserving of the results, right? Thanks, man. Appreciate your thoughts. You're welcome. Thanks so much, everybody, for joining the stream. Once again, if you could smash the like, help support me on the channel. Doesn't cost you anything. And we'll see you again on the next update. If you tick the bell, you'll be notified the next time that I go live or post a video. Again, happy Canada Day, happy Independence Day, wherever you're tuning in from. Have a fantastic weekend. We'll see you in the next video.